So everybody's driven down the highway and they see these wind farms in the distance, and they look at these beautiful flower-looking things, and wow, those are really neat. But most people don't realize that those things are like 450 feet tall. You know, these things are very common, but nobody really thinks about where they come from, how much work gets put into them. They just don't realize how much. And you know, all this steel has to come in. It's got to be trucked in. It's got to be processed, tested, coatings applied, and then it can leave the facility. So what happens is steel comes in to the facility flat. It comes in on trucks, barges, sometimes by rail car, and some of these sheets of steel can weigh 20,000 pounds each. Okay, and typically what they use in the yard, they use electromagnets to pick the plates up one at a time, to take them off the rail cars, the barges, and everything. They also use, well, they call them hay wagons, but they're basically trailers that move them around the yard because the electromagnets, they can't be plugged in that long, you know, so they have to be trucked by something, okay? So what happens is these sheets of steel come into the building and they get all the mill scale blasted off of it so that things can actually happen to it. Mill scale is something that protects the sheet steel from rust. So what happens is it gets brought in, and then a plasma arc table cuts a shape on it like this, okay? Because you can't just roll it. Some of the stuff has to be in a cone, so it cuts it into an arc shape, okay? So after that's done, then what they do is they roll it in a machine. And some of the steel can be up to 2 inches thick that they roll. And they roll it and they weld it into what they call a can, okay? Now, when they get more than one of these cans together, then they take it and they have to fit them together. And a fitter has to bring the two pieces together where the seams are oriented just right for strength. And then they have to be within 2 millimeters on some of these cans that are 15 feet in diameter. So when they get them all welded together, then they have what they call a section. Now this tower section has to be welded with a submerged arc process. And this joins them together permanently. And what they do is they have a welder on a boom that goes right over or inside the section, and they weld it as it rotates. So after it's all welded, every single weld gets tested ultrasonically. Now what that means is they use equipment that looks all the way through past the middle to make sure that there are no cracks or impurities in here for safety, because any cracks or impurities could cause a weak spot that could cause the tower to fail. After it's all tested, ready to go, it gets the green light. After it gets the green light, then it gets put into a shot blast process that puts a profile on so that it will take a coating. Then, after the shot blast process, it goes into the paint department. And the paint department sprays a 3 different layer process on here with spray guns that have 4,000 PSI. And they stand back maybe 3 feet from this and they have to fan it in. And some of these coatings, the tolerance from the customer is plus or minus less than the sheet of paper. So this is a very skilled job. So after this all gets painted, and then it gets inspected again to make sure, and they check this at over 300 points to make sure that it's within the right thickness. After that, then they use large container moving machines to transport it to a different area of the facility. And in this different area of the facility, then they put all the stuff together. Okay, so there's people that they have to put in platforms, ladders, and all the wiring and the lights and all the safety equipment inside this section. Once it's all inside the section, then once again, they have the quality assurance people come in and they make sure that everything's in place, it's all set up, ready to go. So then they basically tarp off both ends of the section, and they put it out into the yard, and then it's ready to be transported to the wind farm. They have trucks that basically use this as the middle of the truck. They bolt the front wheels of the truck here and the back wheels of the truck here, and then it goes on the road. So that's all I have about wind towers. Does anybody have any questions?
How often do they fail?
As far as I know, they've only had one in recent history that's failed, and I think it was due to vibration. The warranty I know on the codex is more than 20 years. So
What's the cost of one?
estimated cost is $2 million.
Jeez.
So, all right, thank you very much.